In May of 2021, Gary Vaynerchuck launched the NFT project VeeFriends. I'm Darby Bailey, and I'm a Hangout Hawk. In our first year, we've begun meeting in what we call a Flawk, and we're documenting our conversations as we discuss all things Web3, NFT, business, and EQ. I invite you to listen in, be your own Hawk to our Hawk Flawks, and we'd love to know what resonates. Let us know what part you liked best in this video or audio. Hi, Laura.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. Oh, is your hair lighter?
I did. I got it done. I actually was I got bangs. This is kind of
I noticed your bangs on the hot call. I messaged in the group. I was like, I'm digging your bangs.
This is kind of my go-to cut that I had for years and years, and like COVID had me just like ponytail. So yeah. I did make it lighter a little bit.
That's cool. I like bangs.
Me too. I haven't been doing it as much, but I used to swim a lot, like a mile a day. So I would swim and then just bangs and then wet ponytail was kind of my go-to, athlete haircut. Like I did my hair because I dried my bangs.
Yeah, I know. If I don't dry them like right away, they just are like crazy all over the place.
Mine just like curls to my head. Yeah. So I met with D-Rock again today.
That's so cool.
It's weird. Like I get like super nervous beforehand. Like I'm gonna throw up a little bit.
I would too.
And then when I talk to him, he's just so laid back. He's so laid back.
That's cool.
But he'd given me the name to this guy, Joey, who started a company with these physical prints of NFTs and a QR code and some of the metadata from the NFT itself. And they look really cool. And I was like, my first thought was like, that'd be great to have a few of those on the walls at the party. So I met with him today, just before this actually, and I was going to show people. And he honestly was like, I love Hangout Hawks. I love VeeFriends. I don't have one. I really want to get one. Wait, I want to give all VeeFriends. This is Joey, the guy that owns that works at the company that makes these. It was just interesting to me, like the enthusiasm from this person who doesn't have a V1. It was really my first interaction with someone who was like so enthusiastic, and he's so grateful, and like, I want to give you all a 15% discount. I talked to our team. If you guys want anything for the Hangout Hawk party, we're like, it's a no-brainer. Like, what can we do? We want to help. Like, we love it. Yeah, it was really like uplifting. It was nice.
That's cool.
But we can talk about that later with Benny and Monica and figure out what to do. Hey, Manuel. I'm gonna wait a little bit to see who shows up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There you are.
All right, B. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm having fun. I've had a very exciting day.
Ooh, tell us more.
Yeah.
So I've been looking for a new job, and I got a bunch of irons in the fire, and one of them's with this little cybersecurity company out of Israel.
Oh, wow.
And I've been through about 4 interviews with them so far, and had an interview with their HR person, and that went well today. And then the hiring manager called me at about 11 o'clock this morning and said, hey, we want you to interview with the CEO. I'm like, okay, that's usually a good sign. He goes, yeah, what are you doing in May around like the 22nd? I'm going to be in Minnesota.
Yeah.
He goes, well, we might need you in Israel. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh.
There's a slight problem. Is I got a conference the week prior. I could theoretically fly out the 22nd and get there late Monday. But then I got to fly out like the 27th because I've got a conference in Houston I'm going to be in as well. So I can do it, but my wife's going to be upset with y'all because she ain't going to see me for 3 weeks. He's like, well, just keep it open. I'm like, all right, so we'll see. Got fingers crossed. But then I realized my passport expired in 2014.
Oh, wow. You haven't left the country since 2014.
Yeah, I'm not a big leaving the U.S. type of person. There's a lot of people dying to get here, so I think we got it pretty good. But then I had to figure out, okay, well, I got to get a passport, so at least get that on standby. And the earliest I can get into all of the county systems around here was like middle of April. I'm like, that's not going to help. And so Orange County down below, they had a walk-in night tonight from 4 to 6 after they closed. And I'm like, all right, I'm there.
Are you the one in Long Beach?
No, Florida.
Oh, Orange County in Florida.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's good. I'm from Orange County in California, so that's fun.
So I was able to sneak down there and get it all expedited, and
Nice.
we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's tricky to get them fast, but yeah, good job. Although I don't want you to go because I want you to be at VCon. So.
Well, I'm definitely going to VCon. Look, I'm going to be there. I might have to leave a day early, but we'll see. But apparently they've dropped all the travel restrictions, and so you don't have to be vaccinated. You don't have to be, quarantined for a week. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll see.
And what would you
certainly speeds things up.
What would you do for them? Are you in cybersecurity? I'm forgetting your background.
Yes and no. So I've worked for IT software companies for almost 22 years, and I've been primarily in the storage side of things, backup, disaster recovery, etc. But I worked for Symantec for a number of years that did both. So they had the security software for enterprises and the storage. And so my last job, I was a director of OEM sales for a IT, OT cybersecurity firm, and did that, wasn't happy, left last October. And so I've been trying to find something new. And this company needs somebody to build out a licensing program for MSPs. So it's kind of right up my alley.
Nice. I just randomly saw an article the other day about jobs in Web3, specifically Solidity developers, having like $200,000 to $300,000 salaries right now in the Web3 space. I'm like,
it's insane.
I'm like, I'm in the wrong. I mean, I know how to code JavaScript, but yeah, geez, straight up, like not even out of college, like just go start coding in Solidity and make triple six figures. Amazing.
It's a whole new world, and hang on your hats, because inflation is going to take a bunch of it away. So we're going to be in this little dangerous cycle of salaries trying to keep up with inflation and people jumping ship to trying to find more better paying jobs, and it's just going to be insane for a while. So
when I graduated from, well, not junior college, high school, it was the recession of the early 90s, right? And there was like, why go to college? There are no jobs. But I don't know. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what inflation does. I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, I've lived through a lot, and luckily I've gone through some pretty tough times previously, and kind of that's what set me up on the path to kind of get here to VeeFriends, is that I had learned from those previous mistakes, and so started dabbling in cryptocurrency and just doing cost dollar averaging to just kind of get some Bitcoin. And before I knew it, after 2 years, I had enough to purchase a bunch of VeeFriends, and so I'm all about not trying to miss those opportunities and position myself well. But this time around, I'm shaking my head. I don't see how we get out of this one without a lot of pain, because we're not willing to do the pain to get out of it. The last time it was this bad, we had interest rates of 20%. And rather than going down that path, we're doing the exact opposite, and we're making it worse. And so...
I mean, the last time that happened was the 80s, though, wasn't it? I mean... Yeah,
so it was the late 70s, the interest rates and stagflation, a word that we don't use anymore. I'm old. Yeah.
But now we have civilization, right? Like this global economic structure, like, how does that play into it? Because in my mind, I'm like, it's a whole different game. Like, it's an extra layer, this global layer of like cryptocurrency from, people sending money to Ukraine or whatever. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be tough. So we're now seeing people start to pitch the anti-globalization movement. You're seeing the world being divided up right now into two camps, and this war with Russia and Ukraine. You're seeing tools that have only come into play in the last 2 or 3 years, being leveled against not Russia particularly. I'm not a fan of Russia, and Putin and his cabinet, they're all psychopaths in my book. But what we are doing now the bulk of the punishment is against the Russian people. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not an enemy of the Russian people. I don't think they're an enemy of ours. Their governments and our governments are, both are corrupt in my opinion. But the tools that they are using, just with the speed of how quick companies are pulling out of that region, because there's a reputational risk here in this country now, because if you do business in Russia, you're not going to be investable over here in the Western world. Those tools are being implemented as a test run, in my opinion, on what's coming our way. You can't print 80% of the dollars that have ever existed in the last 2 years. And then you have companies or countries like China and other areas that are looking to get off the US dollar. And so all those dollars are going to come flooding back into this country. And that's not a good thing. We don't have a mechanism to suck that back in. That's what interest rates are, right? So in the 80s, we spent too much during the 70s. And so, we raised interest rates up to 20% to suck all that money back in and take it out of circulation so that we could have a more stable dollar. We are well beyond what that problem was. And our government is doubling down and printing more money. They want to send everybody a gas card so that we can help pay for gas. They want to keep printing money and giving it away to banks and other countries to help bail them out. And that's not going to end well for us. We are doubling and tripling down on this path. And if you follow what's been happening with some of the tools that they're putting in place, and oil in 2008, oil was $148 a barrel, and over a sustained time, that's what caused everybody to start to collapse and the credit default swaps to be a vulnerability, and basically almost crushed our economy overnight. We got Bank of America now predicting $185 to $200 a barrel oil by the end of the year, and long term. We're not going to survive that. That's crippling. So
the stuff that I've been following, yes. Hi, Julian, by the way.
Julian, how you doing?
Hi, Ross. How are you?
We're having fun talking, light stuff, just stuff to go to bed and
world economy direction. Some of the stuff that they have in Ukraine, like I look at the cryptocurrency technology and some of the stuff that they were developing, and the SWIFT banking system, right? It's global, and that the Ripple court case that's happening right now in the US. I feel like there's all these disparate pieces right now with cryptocurrency. And I think that there was something like you're describing in the Ukraine, where they're doing the smart cities. And in Salt Lake City, we have that too. We have a lot of smart technology that it falls under that launch quick and ask questions later, which in some technologies, especially when it comes to civil issues, can be a problem. But I've been wondering how all those pieces fit together with this inflation. It's really kind of, there's something going on, because we are a global economy in a lot of ways, but it is interesting to watch most of the reparations that are not reparations. Most of the movement against Russia right now is economic, as a weapon, right?
Well, it's the economic weapon, but there's only so many sanctions that you can do. Now, what they did to Russia should be scary to every other country at a country level. For the first time in the history of the world, all the banks got together and said, okay, you got $900 billion in assets and gold and your money. It's no longer available. It's gone. And so you've completely undermined what money is. And so I look at this as being very deliberate. Back last year here in the States, tucked away in one of the COVID bills was the authorization to build a digital USD dollar. No one knew about it. No one read about it. You had to pass the bill to figure out what's in it, that type of stuff. Now,
the omnibus,
that one of those omnibus COVID spending bills. Now you've got the president just signed an executive order saying, "Oh, we're going to investigate what a digital dollar is." Well, there's no investigating. They've already figured it out. The government's been partnered with MIT. They know how they're going to do it. It's a programmable digital dollar. That should scare the crap out of people. So rather than being like an NFT like VeeFriends, where you have a contract, you know exactly what you've got. Now you've got this digital USD dollar that they can program, they can tinker with it. You're buying from somebody they don't like, they can prevent that transaction. There's absolutely zero privacy. They know every single transaction that you're purchasing, who you're buying from, how much you've spent. They can build into the code that you have to spend it by a certain date or it expires. So they can force you to spend money to help stimulate the economy. And the little thing that they don't tell you is every time we do one of these currency changes, it's not a $1-for-$1 swap. So the last time this happened, we made maybe 50 cents on the dollar when we switched over from the original greenback that was based on gold to the fiat currency. Now they're talking about, 2-to-1 for certain people who are favorable. You'll get more money than others. Others, you're going to take a really bad haircut. And they're pushing this thing so fast. And this isn't just us. This is the World Economic Forum, the IMF, all these centralized banks, they're all doing it. I just saw today, Australia just launched their digital USD dollar, or their digital dollar, with some third-party company. It's coming, and I don't think anybody's prepared. Yeah,
I'm gonna start asking, open up the conversation to the group. But it's like the ape coin coming, and like people talking about a VeeFriends coin. Like all of this is just seriously the wild west still. Even a year or two later, and I've got notes here from what you just talked about. I want to look into because I didn't know about a couple of those items
well, that's what scares me, is because in order to make this work, they got to shut off access to everything else. So what does that mean for us who own VeeFriends or who have Ethereum or some of these other altcoins that are popular right now? In order to make this new digital USD work, they have to shut off access or really manage that. And so long term, I'm really interested to see how this plays out for us. And I think ideally VeeFriends is set up value wise. So there's a little bit of insulation there because it's not a currency right now. It's not being traded like a coin. It's an investment, or it's being gambled on right now. But when it kind of stabilizes out, I think there's hopefully some insulation and some long-term longevity with the project.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, Matt. Good to see you.
Hey,
I'd love to get everybody's take on how the other night when we met with Gary and then the VCon tickets got dropped, I was like, oh my gosh, my brain exploded a little bit. Let's go with Matt first. Matt, did you stay up late and watch the drops come in? Or how'd that go for you?
Oh dear God, no! I've got way too much going on. I'm like, this is too much. I actually made a conscious effort about 3 weeks or a month ago when the height of everything was rolling and they were into the book games burning and stuff. I'm like, it's too much. It's I want a handful of V1s. I'm just gonna let Garrett keep doing what he's doing. I'm not playing right now. I'm just gonna sit on the sidelines and just let the investment work. I got too many other things going on. But one thing that I did notice that was interesting was I just glazed over the fact that the VCon tickets that we get for V1 holders are not the same NFTs as the book games burn VCon tokens. I thought they were the same, but I was like, oh, those are goo tokens, but the ones you get for V1 are not. It's like, oh yeah, maybe I should have bought into that. But aside from that, I think I'm along with everybody else, just excited to see the artwork that he's talking about, to see if it really is going to be mind blowing or not. I don't know.
Well, what about you, Julian? Have you checked out your VCon tickets?
Yeah, check out. But I will at the moment I will not sell them because I want to bring, I don't know, maybe one of my associate or my brother if they are available. So for now I'm okay with it. I'm huddle.
Huddle's good. Well, Laura, what about you? Have you seen yours?
I've only checked one wallet because I have some stuff spread out. And I listed one, so I've listed it for just under 3. So I thought, well, if I sell that I'll be happy. Yeah, so I'm planning to sell a good amount just to like recoup my initial investment. That was kind of always my plan, and so I'm excited they're finally here, and hope that the hype and the art keeps making it go up and up, and then maybe I can even hold on to some that I don't need to sell anymore to get the initial investment out. So I don't know.
Nice. Cool. Manny, what about you? Did you look at yours when they airdropped? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I'll mute again.
Okay.
Yeah, I was watching it happen live, and I just happened to be up doing some work, and I saw everybody starting to post their pictures, and I kept looking and kept refreshing my wallets, and they slowly started to trickle in. And I had another wallet that was kind of off chain, and it showed up later that night. So happy to got them all. I got all 5 of them. So
Nice.
I'm gonna sit on them for a minute or two. I've got a couple offers in there that people are lowballing me. So hopefully, when the artwork comes out, we can get it back up to where Laura's looking at. So I need to sell 4 of them just to be able to pay for the trip and recoup some of the money I spent on them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the floor price right now, I think, is way too low. So I'm curious to see. Like, did he say when he's going to show the art? No.
No, I haven't seen anything on that.
One of the blogs, it says April, but he said in a comment today that it could be tonight, it could be in a couple weeks. He's like, it could be anytime. So if you want your tickets, you should go get it now, because it's like not going to get better pricing kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, but just 3 days ago, Corso was saying that the tickets weren't going to drop till April, because I was IMM back and forth, just trying to figure out, because I was trying to move some stuff to cold wallets so that they're a little more protected. And luckily, I wasn't doing anything because it dropped literally within 24 hours of my last message with Corso. He was being very vague. I have to speak with him about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of
That
mystery.
kind of reminds me, we were gonna try to ask a question about using, or how we're gonna actually use those tickets at the check-in at the event, and then trying to backtrack that to figure out how we can, disperse those tickets out to people that we want to bring with us. Like, what's the mechanism that we're actually gonna, be able to give people access that we want to loan the tokens, but not give them the token because it's a valuable piece of art. We never got any clarity on that, huh?
well, Gary has said that there is no loaning ability. You have to physically transfer to them, and then you just have to get it back from them if you want it back.
On our system.
Or they have to show up with you and walk in every time with you, so that you're the one with all the tickets on that. You could RSVP each one individually, but they have to be there with you to walk in.
Which is lots of fun, but Matt, check the chat, because we're trying to set up a lunch on Sunday if you're around, with Signy and Big Fish and
In LA or San Diego?
So we're trying to do it in Temecula because Signy's in Palm Desert, Big Fish is in San Diego, and he's going to be driving up to LA on Sunday, and he's got like a cousin in the Temecula area. So Temecula is kind of right in the middle of everything. So we're trying to do it there on like Sunday, maybe at 1 p.m. if you're around, Matt.
So fun fact, I generally don't celebrate any holidays or weekends or anything like that, except for Sunday is my birthday. And we're going to be up in Oxnard at that point. My birthday's on Sunday, and then my wife's birthday is on the following Friday. So this is like birthday week, where we basically tell the world we died. Don't talk to us until April 1st.
Well, we'll see you in May anyway.
For sure.
All right, bye guys.
Happy birthday early. Okay. See you later.
Yeah, what I missed so far, guys. Sorry I was late.
We were talking about Russia, the central banks, war, and inflation. All really fun topics.
Yeah,
very light stuff for going to bed. Have a great dream tonight.
Totally.
Stuff that keeps your optimism up nice and high.
Yeah.
I was listening in on the your talk, Manny, about the digital currencies, and I think it was on Rogan. I want to say it was with it might have been the one with Andrew Dessler, possibly, but they were talking about that with those currencies and how they can choose, to activate the currency for certain purchases over others, like basically taking away your free will to spend your money. And I was like, dude, no way is that gonna fly.
Oh, it's coming. They're coupling it with something called ESG scores. So China did this back. This was their social credit score. Now if you want to borrow money, if you want to, start a business, you need anything financially, you have to be in good graces of this environmental, social justice governance score. And they're selling it like, no, this is just for people who want to invest more wisely or invest in things that they want to align with their values. But this is what they're doing in Russia. They're shutting stuff off, the stuff that they don't like. And so whether you're an oil company or a gun manufacturer or a gun range or anything that falls out of value, out of favor, they're going to dry up the financial aspect of it, and that's how they're going to enforce it. And then the two of them are coupled together. And so the only way we're going to stop that is if enough states pull together and say, we're not playing this game. Do not use ESGs for anything related to finance. But I'm not too optimistic on that. We had a great bill in Idaho, and then one of the state senators called his friend who was in the banking industry, who is pro ESG, and then the state treasurer wants to keep the power to investigate and slow things down within the state treasury rather than having a law. And so that bill just kind of withered on the vine. It didn't make it out of conference. And so it's coming. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter what political party you're at. There are enough weasels in both that this is going to push through. So I don't know how we're going to.
Based on business, small business to large business, or is it at the individual level?
From the individual level all the way up to the very largest of businesses. This is the control, the enforcement arm of your digital currency. So the two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, so don't take the politician's word. Don't take my word. Go look it up. It's on the
I just pulled
Forum.
stuff from the Idaho, legislature. Yeah.
I mean, they're saying this out. The head of BlackRock is out running around. He's pro ESG, and he's telling people we gotta force change. And so this is how we're going to force change. And they're not hiding it. They are selling this, but when questioned on it, that's when they get a little squirrely and say that it's just for businesses or just for investing. It's not going to be used on the individual level. But I guarantee, I've seen it in my banks. If you go look at your bank, see if they're starting to talk about ESG and assigning an ESG score, not just to your investments, but to your account.
So in my mind, I can put the rationale behind, the US dollar, we need to keep the strength of the US dollar. How can we do that? We can control the US dollar at a global level, and then we push it up, right? And like us that are smart enough to manage all the scores, legislate it. It will trickle down to the individual, though. I think you're right. Like no matter what you do. So then I wonder,
it's not about making the US dollar stronger. This is about control.
That's not what it's about.
It's about control. They like to couch this in, well, we want to stop people from funding terrorists. We want to stop people from buying drugs. We want to, all this bad stuff. But if you're overweight and you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to buy that soda or that apple pie or whatever, for dinner. This is how insidious this thing is. They're putting in the framework that if you get the wrong people in power, this could go dark very quickly. And there's no out. Like I said, they have to lock you into the system to make this work, because we're now in the age of modern monetary theory, where you can just print what you want and make up dollars to spend, and inflation is not that bad. We don't calculate inflation like we did in the 70s. So they're telling you it's 7%, but if you go back and look at the same metrics, we're just as bad as we were in the 70s. We're at about 15% inflation rate right now, apple to apple comparison. So I'm praying that the cryptocurrencies take off and make my money, and I can go buy that island and just not worry about this.
We'll trade rocks. We'll trade carved rocks with each other for pineapples.
There we go. Okay. There we go. And I'm a good fisherman, a good hunter, so I'll feed people who want to come down and help me out.
Yeah.
This makes me want to get my ham radio now even more. I've been wanting to get the ham radio.
Get it. Get it. I've got my general technicians, and I'm working on my extra, all the way up to extra to get it done.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt, what do you think about all this? You work in, you deal with finance through real estate. Have you seen any of these ESG scores?
No, I mean, it's not something that's ever crossed my radar. I'm aware that I'm aware that these things, essentially exist. Like, I'm learning about this in Russia, but I'm aware that, this is an idea that exists already. And with a place like China, it makes sense because China's cultural paradigm is that, the government is essentially a parent to the people, and it's just like it's ingrained in their culture. Respect your elders and respect your government as your elder. And in a place like theirs, where they are not shy about censorship, they're not shy about social credit scores, they're not shy about autonomous control at the Chinese Communist Party. Like, yeah, it makes sense that they would have a currency that allows them to do that and execute that, and the people are not unused to it. Like, yeah, of course, they don't want you to see something on the internet or TV. You just won't, period. And that's they almost respect that and go along with it. And am I really surprised that that's something that exists this day and age? Not really. Do I think that it's a possibility they could try to creep into the United States? Dear God, I hope not. I hope that we're just I hope that we're rebellious enough to keep things like that from happening. But at the same time, like, it's a matter of education, how much we push, I guess. Try not to be afraid of it, but it's something to definitely take seriously. The inflation thing, that's really real. Trying to figure out how we're gonna deal with that. A part of what's really going through my mind, honestly, like, aside from the digital currency aspect of this, is I just read Ray Dalio's book on the changing world order, and I think there's a lot of that needs to be brought into the conversation, with the United States getting into the situation where we're kind of at like that, we're at like the step number 6 out of 8 for a complete cycle, where, the idea that we could actually be losing ground as the world's reserve currency is really real. And China coming up behind us with all the work they've been putting in for the last many decades to step up and challenge us for, world power is very real. So, I'm watching that and I'm thinking about it very carefully. But, it's nothing I can do. Just watch, listen, try to take action where I can. That's about it.
There's some things you do personally to mitigate this. Just to get yourself through, with all this crap that's going on. We've got a food shortage that's coming because supply chain issues. We got other issues around manufactured goods. So, if you're not spending a little extra time, they'll go crazy, but put away some food, put away some ways to get gas or fuel. I'm buying extra gift cards, putting stuff aside, just to have it. But, it's going to be some tough times coming here. And I'm interested to see how this plays out economically and how it fits in with the kind of trajectory we've been on, with these NFTs, with the crypto. Crypto's kind of looking like it's a safe space, and we thought this was going to be a really long winter, and you're starting to see some reinvestment in like Bitcoin or some of the other coins. So I'm hoping that, in the short term, there's some spikes there that we can take advantage of as well. Just gotta pay attention to it.
What's the timeline for things like, I know through COVID, right, there was a lot of manufacturing shut down. So just anecdotally for me, I went to buy a couch like 2 months ago, and it's like, oh, we're 4 months out. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to buy a used couch then, because I can pick it up today and I'm upcycling. But for like the gas stuff that's happening right now from Russia, like, what's the timeline? Like, how long will that take? Like, I know, like, it was more expensive when I filled my tank up yesterday, but like, California prices, to me, I know it's going to get worse, but
So the decrease we've had in gas recently is because China's locking back down. They're having another COVID event, another variant. I'm not sure if it's Omicron or another version of it, but they're starting to lock down some cities again. And so gas is tipped because oil has dipped a little bit. But, there's this talking points where, we've got like 9,000 leases here in the United States and the oil companies are just sitting on their hands. That's not the case. You've got the leases in place, but you don't have all the permitting to do it. You don't have the equipment because the piping and the gasoline and the tools, the all of the stuff you use to build a well, all of that is months and months and months backlogged, 6 to 9 months. Drilling offshore, because we cut back on it for 2 years. Those rigs are not owned by the oil companies; they're leased, and so if they're not using them, they pick those rigs up and they ship them somewhere else in the world where they're going to be used. And so it takes sometimes years to get those rigs back and put them back on those wells. And so it's a good 12 to 15 months if you started with a new well and got that thing up and running and get stuff into production. So there's a long lag time from getting it out of the ground, going through the refineries, getting it shipped out to your gas stations, getting it into your car. The thing that nobody's talking about is those refineries. And so the refineries are starting to shut down. You don't have, those things used to run 24/7, 7 days a week, year after year after year. They're not. They're starting to shut down because they don't have the supply coming in anymore. There's these refineries called crackers. They take, out of a 55-gallon drum of oil, you get about 20 gallons of gas out of it. And everything else is sent to these companies called crackers, and they take that remaining oil and they break that down into components. So you can take some of that and make styrofoam, or some of that into plastics, or some of that goes to medicine, or gel caps that are on your pills. They take those, and those also were running 24/7, 7 days a week. They are starting to shut down like a standard 8-hour, 15-hour day. They're not running full bore and so it will take time to get people hired back, get them up and running. So even if you get the oil supply coming, there's that next phase of refinement that is damaged now. Groceries, from the time it goes from the farm to your table, there's a 90-day window. And so if you have any disruption in that supply chain with food at that beginning, you only have about 90 days in process to see you through. Right now, 25% of the wheat in the world is grown in Ukraine and in Russia, and they're not planting right now.
right.
And they're not planning to plant right now. So there's going to be a wheat shortage, and so that's leading to other issues long term that's driving a food shortage. We're going to have supply chain issues with food again.
Yeah, so everything that started with COVID, with supply chain, is just now worse. It's just going to keep getting worse for the different industries, it sounds like.
It's worse because we're shooting ourselves in the foot. If we would have stuck with coming out of COVID, opening things up, and going down the path of really truly rebuilding, we wouldn't be in this case. But we've come out of COVID, and then here in this country, we went from energy independence to now begging Saudi Arabia and other countries around the world to sell us oil because we're not producing it here anymore. And they're not picking up the president's phone call. Saudi Arabia is not returning Joe Biden's calls. Iran is playing hardball because we had a deal with them when he was vice president back in the day. Trump killed that. Now they think they got us over a barrel, and so now they want more than what we gave them 8 years ago just to get access to that oil. And so it's going to be a very dangerous situation long term for the world, not just for the United States, but for the world, because the supply chain has been so damaged. And this misstep with energy, I love hearing how everybody likes. I'll pay more for gas if it supports Ukraine. I just don't understand how much stuff is made from oil.
Yeah.
Everyday items, not just gas.
Like in my head
they're
right
all
now,
going through the roof.
Yeah, my parents have a huge garden. They're, we come from farmers, so I could grow enough food for myself, but that's my background, right? There's certain things I know I can do, but yeah, plastic, styrofoam, makeup, everything. So much stuff comes from oil,
Right.
and there's already
Clothing, tires, auto parts, making computer chips, all that stuff has energy components to it, or has oil components to building that. literally almost everything we touch has some component of oil in it, and it's.
I'd like to ask, get back to the cryptocurrency thing real quick. Julian, are you guys considering a coin for your metaverse that you're building? I'm curious if you've thought about all the global finance stuff that we've been talking about, and if you're building a coin.
So the coin is, if we do a coin, we'll do it like next year, or when we'll like build the core metaverse first. And if a coin is useful to our metaverse, so we'll do it. But it's not the first thing we think about when we are building the metaverse now. So maybe in the future, but it's not the priority.
But you have had the conversations about that. It seems to me that, I mean, a lot of the projects I see, it's always an early point of conversation, at least, to say yes or no.
Excuse me, it was a.
You have had the conversations about building a coin?
Yeah, and we just want to like build step by step first the metaverse, first our concept, and afterwards, if we are like well implemented in metaverse and we are like building well all we want to achieve, like doing experiences, doing maybe digital assets afterwards, collaboration, brands, and all the stuff we want. Afterwards, we'll maybe like do a coin to like improve the ecosystem, but it's not the priority.
Yeah, nice. And Russell, I don't know if you have time, but I'd love to know what your take is on. I know there are some of us that remember at least the 80s. I vaguely remember like gas station lines and cars honking because there was no gas at the pumps. What your take is on inflation and the manufacturing delays that are going on right now?
So yeah, I think inflation's a lot worse than what they're leading us to believe. Because I'm watching, and just you watch housing and how much things are shooting up, and everything else. I remember some of the lines and stuff in the late 70s, early 80s too, or when I don't know if it was like this in other states, but in California, they would limit which days you could buy gas based on your license plate. They have even days and odd days, and they'd have limits about how much you could buy. And so, I remember being in the car with my dad and we needed gas and they wouldn't sell them any because it was the wrong day.
That was done nationally. That happened, same thing.
That was nationally?
Yep.
Fascinating. If you are at a point where you need to get a mortgage right now, rates are, we're pricing out now in the high 4s. We were at 2 3/4 in December. And we priced out for a purchase today for someone with decent credit, but not a lot of down payment. And they're gonna have to pay 4 7/8 to get that loan. And it's been just shooting up faster than I've ever seen it shoot up in the last 30 years that I've been doing this.
So the Fed was talking about raising another 5 or 6 times this year, early on. Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to talk about just jumping it up like multiple percentage points at a time. And I've never seen us do that.
We've had cases in the past where we've bumped it up by 0.5% at one time. Greenspan did that in 94, in 95 timeframe. But
not like 2%, like what I'm hearing now at once.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody talking about going up that high that fast. But they might almost need to control these levels of inflation that we've got. They were saying in 1995 that if Greenspan hadn't done what he did, our inflation would have hit 6 or 7%. So he was very aggressive to tone that back. I don't know if that's really the case or not, but I do remember how dicey everything was in the finance markets at that time. I don't really know where we're going to go from here at this point. When the Fed raises rates quickly enough, that's actually good for long-term rates. Our rates will actually start to go down a little bit because the markets will start to price in the thought that maybe they really do have inflation under control. So lower interest rates long-term might seem like a better idea at that point. But what's going to happen is I've actually read that if they do the 0.5% minimum raise that they're talking about doing at the next meeting, that's probably going to send the 2-year treasury notes way above the 10. And every single time we get inverted like that, recession follows. I haven't found any case where that's happened that we haven't been in a recession in the next, say, 6 to 18 months afterwards. So we're going to be in for some dicey times here.
It seems like things shifted very quickly in the past. What is it? Month, 2 months. Like VeeFriends has been this momentum, and I've been sucked into like all the happy Web3 NFT space. But at the same time, leading up to the Ukraine invasion, I was like, what is going on? And then I've been hearing a lot of people in my world talk about inflation for a handful of months now. But coming out of COVID, I thought, okay, things will start to ease up a little bit, but it doesn't seem like they are. No. And I just went grocery shopping the other day. Like some of the shelves were half empty. They're short staffed. It's like, I do my part. I take my cart back now. I don't just leave it out in the thing in the parking lot, stuff like that. But yeah, the world events that are happening right now are I'm not optimistic. And now I just got this link for the ESG, so I'm going to investigate that. And I know people are, there's people working on things. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's going to be nasty when that plays out. And it's funny because I've actually commenting to friends and my wife at different times. And when we see empty shelves at the grocery stores and things like that, I have to think that when people that were well-to-do down in Venezuela started seeing that 20 years ago, if they kind of felt the same way, that this just feels weird. But it looks like we're making a lot of mistakes that are going to be really difficult to get ourselves out of down the road. Mm-hmm.
So are there other historical, we've talked about the gas crisis in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, inflation back then, interest rates for homes, I believe, were in the 20% in the 80s, right? Venezuela happened. What are some other historical events that, I'm going to post this just to help listeners or whoever might view this, to educate themselves on.
The original one that everyone likes to go back to is the Weimar Republic, is what led to the rise of the German Empire. They were, printing money so fast to keep up with hyperinflation that you literally would take a wheelbarrow full of cash to go buy a loaf of bread because their money was so worthless. And that's, so when you start hearing people start talking about hyperinflation, got to start paying attention, because that's the problem where I talked about, when people stop buying our debt, or they switch from the US dollar paying for oil and switching it to the yuan for the China, or rubles for somebody else. If we lose the world's currency for oil, all those US dollars are going to come flooding back into this state. We've printed 80% of every dollar created since the history of this country, 80% of that has been printed in the last 2 years. And so all that's coming back, and now you're really having too much money chasing too few goods. That's the definition of inflation, and it's just going to go through the roof. That's hyperinflation. That's where we start to really melt down as a currency. The other thing that I've been paying attention to is the reason we were the world's currency was because we told everybody after World War II, we're going to sit on your gold. You give us your gold, we'll sit on it, we'll hold it, we'll never get off the gold standard, and you use the US dollar as your currency, the basis currency. Well, now, because we've, in 2008, printed, we knew very soon after that, there was no trust in what we did with trying to recover from the 2008 financial crash. We were bailing out everybody, we were printing lots of money, and so countries started to ask for their gold back. And we started telling them, okay, we'll give it back to you in dribs and drabs over the next 10 years or what have you. So you're seeing countries now want to take their gold out of the United States and bring it home so that they have some basis to base their own currency on. If that happens at a much greater rate, that doesn't spell good news for us.
And so this, in my mind, is where cryptocurrency kind of like is a little bit of a monkey wrench, right? Because it's like, okay, now we have this new digital currency. How does that play into that whole scenario that we can look at historically, right? Like Bitcoin I mean, I have Bitcoin maximalist friends that are like, don't even buy fiat anymore, just mine Bitcoin. They moved to Wyoming. They're like, that's what they're doing. But yeah, it's not for the weak-minded to understand the economics of the whole thing. It's complicated, man. It's complicated.
It is. But that's where I think we need to really pay attention, is when things start to kind of run off the rails at a faster pace than it is right now, which is hard to believe. That's when countries are going to start trying to lock it down and try to keep wealth from leaving their country. And so Bitcoin or Ethereum, any of these decentralized currencies, that's a threat. And so they're going to respond, adequately against that threat, because, they can't track. It's a private transaction. It has nothing to do with central banks. It's decentralized currency, which is the genius of it. But you already see it now. They're, for ESG scores, they don't like Bitcoin because it's too much drawing on the electrical grid, and so China has banned it because it's impeding them. You're seeing more and more countries look at, from an ESG perspective, mining cryptocurrency. That's a bad thing, and so they're going to try to regulate that and shut that down. So Ethereum moving over to a staking model at this time, I don't think they could have timed it any better. And so Ethereum could be that next Bitcoin that just takes off because they don't have that bad rap of using or being poor to the environment. At the same time, they've built out a community. They've got NFTs playing out. Bitcoin doesn't do that, so there's more opportunity there.
Ethereum, has been amazing to watch. Like, I started with Bitcoin 2 years ago. I mean, not a lot, but that was my entry point. And now it's just all ETH. And then there's Polkadot. There's all the other ones too. I'd love to. So we got 8 minutes here left here. I have a hard out tonight, but I'm curious if we can. I've really appreciated this chat, by the way, Manny, because I just read an article today about Putin wanting to force people to buy their gas with rubles, which
telling EMEA, Europe, that you want gas, you want oil, you got to pay in rubles, and that's the start of it, right? Get us off the. Got to watch that.
Yeah. But the party, so the Hawk party, we're almost half sold out.
Question. I saw on the flyer, you can only buy those in pairs. You can't buy a single ticket.
Yeah, I know. We made that decision because the rationale was enough people have a +1, and it will facilitate finding somebody to buddy up with, or inviting somebody to come with you that might not otherwise be able to go.
It's a form of ESG.
No, I have a choice, but I will take it to heart.
I mean,
you gotta buy the ticket, but you can give it to whoever you want.
There we go.
Yeah, it encourages bringing a +1 and helping the party grow.
Understood.
Yeah, honestly, we're like, how many tickets are we going to sell? I don't know, but then we've got enough people for a good solid party already, even though we're not sold out. I'm sure we'll sell out.
I still haven't gotten my hotel, plane flights, or anything, but I did buy Hawk tickets.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I'm getting the Hawk ticket right now, so everybody, I'll be there and I'll find a +1.
We're setting up some interactive. I know Julianne is. I'm hoping you'll be able to bring in your come show your metaverse, but I've got some other people I'm talking to about interactive art / kind of interactive activities at the party. I'd love to know what kinds of things you guys like at parties. If it's an NFT party, is there anything that you've seen at an NFT party or an event that might be cool that we could look into? No. We'll just be the host. We'll figure it out. Cool. Okay. So it's another thing. I feel really loosey-goosey today because just Tuesday was I felt like everything I did with VeeFriends and NFT, and I have a couple of crypto schools, and they just launched this they just airdropped they didn't airdrop it. I had to claim it, but launched a potion, kind of like Bored Ape. I didn't get any work done, basically, any of my day job work done on Tuesday.
But I did get yesterday. I just blew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sometimes.
just burnt. My brain just was not keeping up. I'm like, all right, I quit, guys. I meditated for like 30 minutes yesterday. I never do that. Yeah, I had a training timeout. Fun fact or quick question: are you wearing mascara today?
I am. Well, thanks for noticing. The difference is eyeliner. I usually have mascara. I actually put some eyeliner on. Yeah,
Nice.
and I got my hair cut. Yeah, I'm doing all the things I used to do before COVID. It's been a slow wake out of COVID.
All right, welcome back to the land of the living, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah. Compared to what I used to do for acting, I did full makeup. I'm not doing that, but just a little bit presentable. Put on a little makeup.
Well, to be fair, you were very presentable before the eyeliner.
Thank you. That's why I usually wear glasses.
Okay.
Yeah. I talked to D-Rock today, and so I'm gonna change the format of this meeting a little bit because I want to be able to get some content Q&As out of it. So I'm gonna work on how I'm gonna do that as far as the agenda goes for next week. We'll start that so that we can ask questions from the VeeFriends community or other entrepreneurs and pose them in this meeting and answer as Hawks and present answers from our own experience for short form content. Because right now I'm just, as he recommended, and it's actually making it easier for me to publish content, publish the long form and then pull out of that. But I think if we can structure it in here where we're getting some Q&As done really fast based on our audience's needs, I think that would be really helpful and give some value back to listeners and VeeFriends.
I didn't have a chance to look at it, but did you post the topic for today's get together?
I did not. Yeah, today was kind of like, I was very like, I was on another call right before this until like 5:55, and then I hopped on here. So
I wasn't sure if that was something that you were doing, like topic du jour for the Hangouts or recommended topics or something like that.
I'm going to start next week. Keep going into a more formal agenda / script next week. I really just feel like I've been recuperating from Tuesday. It's like the setup for the meeting. We were on for 2 hours, and then we had the call with Gary, and then I don't know. Then the tickets dropped. It was like 12 VeeFriends all day.
Yeah.
Which is fun, but like the next day I'm like, oh my gosh, I have work to do. I gotta catch up.
Yeah, rapid fire. I'm trying to get everything ready. Just with a normal workload, but I'm also trying to get everything ready so I can actually get away for a couple of days. And of course, I'm going to be gone that whole time. I'm just going to be glued to Discord, and there'll be nothing happening.
Oh yeah, because you're going out of town all next week, right? Is that?
Yeah, I'm going out of town. We're leaving tomorrow.
I've been to Oxnard a lot. Are you guys going to go beach time?
We actually bought a house up there, so we're gonna stay at the hotel nearby and meet some contractors. We're having them do some work, so I'll be doing some walkthroughs. It's by the marina, next to the Navy base, Fort Winnie.
Cool.
I'm by the water.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, it's a good little spot.
Taking a place in Ventura, Oxnard. I love that zone.
Yeah, I went up there 4 years ago, fell in love. That's when all this inflation stuff was really going off, the wisdom at the time was, get out of cash, get into assets, because not only is cash like vulnerable in inflation, but naturally pushes assets up. And I'm like, it's a great time to buy that dream house I've been looking forward to. So did that. Yeah, and then also throwing everything else into VeeFriends. So I'm like, well, I'm hoping those two big balloons continue to just kind of pull me up out of this crazy situation that we're in, and hopefully there's somewhere to land when all the dust settles. I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that. I bought my condo last year, and I kind of remember vaguely like, should I buy real estate? And I did, partly because of the asset conversation that I've been hearing. But now I'm like, I do have this thought to buy some land in like northern Idaho, which is where my family's from. Like maybe I should buy that land now, right, sooner than later. I don't know. So you guys are building a house, and I hope all your building supplies and everything are not delayed.
They're gonna be, and I'm planning for it. And it's like 3-month project's gonna take 9 months, I know, but We're like what you're talking about. We're turning it into a social media project. So she being the missus, she's gonna create a social media channel for it and document the before, during, and after process, and then leverage that. Try to get some affiliate income coming in, maybe some brand deals, that kind of thing, and just kind of connect that to our center core of social media. So it'll be fun.
Well, I want you to bring some of those costumes to the party, to the Hawk party, because I want to see that.
I don't know
I
if
want
they'll.
that, but I really want to see one in real life. They're so
Okay.
cute.
I'll try to remember. We have a ton of them. So I'm like swimming in them here at the house. They're everywhere.
Julianne and Russell, well, Julianne, I'll start with you. I'm going to go soon, but how'd the launch go with, I know, Julianne, you launched not the coin, but you guys are doing a whitelist or a friends list. What is it right now for your projects?
Yeah. So we just launched the socials, and we're releasing 220 OG passes for for friends and family. So if you want an all list, I'd be grateful to give another list to Mint, the juice passes. And it's the first core community to experience our proof of concept in April, because we'll do all the I showed you 2 or 3 weeks ago. We all do the hub and the first experiences for communities, brands, and all we can do it. So we are actually building it. So it will be the first passes to experience, and of course it will be like artifact. So the OG pigeon, so every airdrops will at least in all life the OG will be rewarded.
The OGs, so I'm in your Discord. Did you announce it in Discord to get the OG, or is it are they only being given out by a drawing or randomly?
What?
Are the OGs available to anybody in your Discord, or who are they available to?
No, it will be like 220 early. So we'll doing to give to people we trust to build the core community, and afterwards at the end of March we'll minting those 220. So it will cost 0.2 for those people, and so the 220 people who support us to launch the first experience in April, and afterwards will be all the extension of the metaverse and all the airdrop we can see on the market.
Awesome. Have you shared that in the Hawk channel yet?
No, not yet, but I will do it maybe in the coming days. But if you want one, because the hawks are my priority, because because I know you, so I prefer giving the allo list to hawks than people I don't know.
Yeah, I want one. I know I want one. I love the design. It's my favorite style metaverse so far. So yeah,
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I will put it. I don't know if maybe I will put it in these coming days to grab the address. So I will do it maybe in the end of the week or the beginning of the week later.
Oh,
So I'm excited.
Cool. So Matt, you're going to be out next week. You won't be in the drop-ins.
I'll probably be in the drop-ins. I just won't be in the area.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully, with any luck.
Danny, are you you're going to be in town next week, right? You're not going. You said you had an interview, but that's not till May.
Well, no, I have the interview on Monday, so keep your fingers crossed. And
Okay.
yeah, that's the job in Israel, so we'll see how that plays out.
Oh, I pitched tomorrow at the business school here at the U for a private. Well, it's for a grant, but with a private investor tomorrow at 1. So wish me luck. Yeah.
You got this, Darby.
Yeah, you got it. You don't need
Feel
luck.
good about it. Yeah, I feel good about it. Russell, you have any exciting plans coming up for the weekend?
I got stuff to do at work. I will be here on Tuesday. On Thursday, I'm going to be out of town. I mentioned to you before, Darby, about my kid transferring schools, and he's got college visits this week. And I'm going to be meeting him in Atlanta to take him to UGA because it's really far from the airport. And he actually has family there that he doesn't know yet. So I'm going to take him around and introduce him to people too.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So has he been, is that going to be his first campus tour, or has he done others already?
He's doing the others earlier in the week because this is his spring break coming up. So he's hitting University of Texas and Florida State first, and then we're going to do UGA last.
Oh, nice. Do I remember correctly that Berkeley was on the list, or was it, he's in music, right? Or am I
He's in
remembering
music,
that?
but he wants to be out of California because he's sick of all the COVID restrictions. They're making them wear masks, socially distanced on stage with the choir. And everybody in the music program gets PCR tested 3 times a week. And if any test comes up positive, they quarantine them like a leper colony in a separate dorm away from everybody else until they don't test positive anymore. And it's just
But while they're
super abusive.
singing, they're wearing masks.
They're wearing masks while they sing.
Are they miking
Yeah.
them, or?
I don't know, because I haven't actually been to any of the concerts.
Huh.
And there's something because they stream it online, but they may be mics up in the air. I don't know.
Yeah, like the mic and singing with a mask on is just like completely.
Oh, it's insane. And it doesn't make sense. And, you know,
Yeah.
everybody in the room has been vaccinated and boosted and all kinds of things. And he's just sick of them changing the rules on him all the time. And so he's decided he's going to get out of California.
Cool. Well, that, yeah.
He's
it
got
sounds
2
like
free
he's
states there,
trying to-
Texas and Florida. So come on down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
See how
Utah
he
was like
does.
that. Florida, I was like, well, yeah, Utah's not as free. Anyway, okay. Well, I'm gonna have a safe trip. Everybody's travel safe. And good luck.
Cool.
And we'll talk in the court or on Tuesday.
Yes,
Have
guys.
a good weekend, guys.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Thanks, Darbs, for putting this together.
Yeah.
Bye.
I personally am so grateful for you listening to this episode of the Hawk Flawk. If anything resonated with you, please leave a comment and let us know. We'd love to spread the useful parts of this video to help as many as possible. And if you'd be so kind to like and subscribe on all the channels you are hearing this or watching this on, I'll say thank you again, for real. From one hawk to another, Ka.